Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Laura Smith on Blog Talk Radio. Good evening. It is 10:30 p.m. here in Calgary, Alberta. Friday night, September the 16th. I'm glad to be here. This is Child Abuse Prevention. It's up to us, and it's a 30-minute internet streaming radio broadcast from blogtalkradio.com. And chat room is open. I did pop the link in there, what I wanted to look at tonight. And, I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. I've done this is like 810 shows or something. I've done a lot of shows in the last couple of years, and as people can tell, I'm pretty tired. On Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, I did another like 400 or probably somewhere close to 400 shows, or close to it anyway. So I've probably done about 1,200 shows in the last 2 years. So I am getting a little bit tired. But the reason I do this is because children are dying. And if they're not dying, if they're not killed and murdered outright from abuse, then they're dying in the hospitals because of the abuse-related injuries. And if they're not dying, they're just going to suffer, And I've talked and talked and talked and talked, and you've all listened, and I appreciate everybody who's tuned into my shows. Like, this is really something that it just sits in my heart. I have to do it, and the reason being is that I suffer with the abuse-related injuries that I suffer with them every day. And, so, like, I know what these little kids are going through out here. I've been, growing up abused and growing up mistreated and physically abused, sexually abused, emotionally, psychologically abused, right? It's hard on these kids, and we need to do something. And it's just a call for action, like when I started doing Blog Talk Radio, I was really, not sure how long I'd be doing it, and I just wanted to be one more voice, just add my voice to everybody else's voices, right? And so, what I was hoping is that my shows would just sit here for years and years to come, and that, as long as my account remained open here, that, that people for years would be able to catch some of what I was saying, because, I'm just one more voice, but I speak for a lot of people. And, it's not just me screaming out about this, right? There's a lot of people out here who want to see child abuse stopped, And then there's a lot of people out here that want to continue abusing children. And then there's a whole lot of people that just want everybody to shut up and go away because they don't want to hear about it. But you have to listen to my shows at your own discretion, because I'm talking about abuse, and it's a sensitive subject. So if you're not sure if the show may bother you, you have to listen at your own discretion, and you have to turn the show off if you think it may bother you. And young people under the age of 18, I just ask that you have permission to listen to my shows. There's a lot of adult content on my shows, and that's why I ask you to have an adult, someone who's older, who's an adult, who can help you make a decision whether you should be listening. And tonight I'm just sitting here just thinking. I've been online all day, and I've been busy, doing all kinds of work online, and just sort of continuing on with child abuse prevention stuff, And as I was sitting here, like, really I've been in pain for like days, and I know where that pain comes from, and it's like, this is the reason why I do what I do. It's because, I don't take pain pills, I don't take painkillers and things like that, because I know when I get older I'm really going to need them. And so I don't take them now, because I know if I live another 20 years, I'm really going to seriously need serious pain medication. And, I know what these kids are going through, right? And I was just sitting here thinking, like the stuff, the stuff, like, I don't talk a whole lot about my injuries, you know what I mean? I just kind of keep that to myself, but I write about it. I write about it in my books. And, mostly I talk about the emotional, psychological damage done in the morning, one child abuse survivor to another. But, the physical injuries are there, and they don't go away. They don't go away. Like, the pain that's in my body because I was abused as a child is still here today, and it's still very much very painful. And so, we have to stop this, you know what I mean? Like, we have to stop abuse of all types, right? And I'm not, lately I've been talking about child sexual abuse a lot, and that's just because I'm dealing with this, and this is my healing journey. This is what I'm dealing with, and looking at the CSA incest that I suffered as a child, but looking at the child physical abuse, that I suffered mainly from my mother, some from my brother, and some from my dad. And, my mother was my main abuser, but, you can't, it'd be hard for somebody to understand what I've been through unless they actually will walk with me through my journey and actually relive it, And it's incredibly damaging when somebody beats you in the head with a rolling pin, breaks your skull open. When I was 13 years old when my mother did that, and I never did see straight after that. I never did see right again. I hope everybody knows that. Most people wouldn't know that, actually. I never could properly see straight again, and I couldn't walk straight again. My whole equilibrium is messed up, and that's just from being bashed in the head and given a serious concussion. And I had so many concussions before because I was being abused all the way through my childhood, and so I've had so many concussions that it really has damaged my vision, and it's damaged my equilibrium and my sense of balance. And not only that, but I broke my ankle, which doesn't help. But that was my own fault in a car accident. But so that just doesn't help, you know. So when I'm walking, I kind of look like I'm drunk, you know, because I can't walk straight, I can't see straight. And so it's just one of those things. But you know, it's incredibly sad that people think that it's okay that a parent would bash their child in the head and, you know, break their skull open with a rolling pin, no less. And my mother weighed about 280 pounds. You know, she wasn't a small, tiny little woman. She was, you know, like a linebacker. And, man, she was coming at me with that rolling pin. I was like, man, she could kill me, you know. And actually, I was kind of okay with it, you know, at the time. I thought, go ahead. One more blow, you can end my misery for me right here, you know. And instead of that, you know, after she broke my head open and beat the shit out of me, she just spit in my face, cussed me out, and threw me out of the house. So there you go. But, you know, this is absolutely horrific that people will treat their children like that. And why did she do that? People might say, well, you probably deserved it. You were probably being a bad kid, you know, and I was 13 years old. I didn't like the soup that she made, and so I just complained about it because I didn't want to eat it because it was curdled and it was just not a soup that I liked, you know, and I should have known better to say anything, but, you know, I let it slip out. and so I paid the price for that, you know. That's why my mother did that. People might say, well, your behavior before that, maybe, and then she was just reacting at the time. And it's like, no, you know, like I was a decent kid, and I was a decent kid all the way from when I was 0 on up, you know, and I was just mistreated. I was abused, right? And so, you know, what are you going to do? Like, it's harsh. You know, it's like my hip is completely screwed, and I had to go to a chiropractor, either that or have surgery, one or the other. And years ago, I went to the chiropractor because I couldn't walk, couldn't even stand up, and I had to go to work, you know. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna lose my job, and I'm gonna have to have surgery. So I thought, well, okay, I'll try, you know, I called the chiropractor. I said, well, I'll try a chiropractor first. And he said, yeah. He said, come on in, I'll see what I can do. So he did get me walking that day. And he says, okay, I need to do X-rays before I do anything else because I don't want to mess with anything till I find out what's really happening. And so I went and got the X-rays done and brought them back and everything. And he's like, well, you know, I don't know how, but you've been walking around with your hip completely twisted out of joint. It's completely twisted around in your socket, and so all of your muscles have grown around your leg the whole time you were growing up in the wrong direction. So he's like, well, how did that happen? So I had told him I was abused and everything, and put it on the card because I had so many injuries that I wanted him to work on. And I was hoping that he could give me some relief, you know. And he's like, oh my God. And I said, well, yeah. I said, you know, my dad twisted my leg out of socket when I was about 6 years old because he was beating on me, and he grabbed me by the leg and twisted my leg around a door frame, and actually twisted my hip out of the socket. And so my muscles just grew around that. So then it was just causing me a lot of pain and a lot of agony. I couldn't walk right anyway, you know what I mean? And these are the things that people will do to their children, you know, and call it discipline, right? And my parents were busted and brought up on charges, you know, 4 years prior to that happening to me. But did they change their ways? No. Oh, no. As soon as the social workers were out of sight, it was like, right on. It's a field day. Let's beat the shit out of our kids. And that's exactly what they did. And, you know, it's horrific. But this is the truth, you know. And it's unfortunate, you know what I mean? And 2 years after that, when I was 8 years old, my brother raped me and sodomized me, and and sexually used me for about 7 months, and raped me over and over again. And so that threw my hip out even more, and I was just in so much pain. I was just in so much agony. And my hip has just been a mess ever since. And I had a car accident when I was 18, and that's what busted my ankle. And I had to go in. It was a bad car accident. I was actually had to have like a full body scan and everything. And they were like, "Whoa, what happened to you? You know, like you were either really clumsy or you were abused as a child." And I said, "Well, you know, a little bit of both. Let's just say, you know." I was 18 years old, so I only had enough insurance to cover. Actually, didn't even pay for the whole surgery. I ended up owing about $14,000, but at the time, this was back in the 80s, so it wasn't too bad. But now that would probably be about $100,000 surgery to put my foot back on. But they were like, well, your hip is really screwed, and you are going to have problems with that for the rest of your life. Like, you will probably be crippled, and you will have to. And they were telling me that I'd be crippled by 40, and I'm over 40, so I'm still not completely crippled. Yay, hallelujah. But the thing is, I live with pain every day because of what my parents did to me, what my brother did to me, and I live with the pain of my car, the ankle with my car accident too. But the pain that I'm talking about is the pain that my parents did to me, the stuff that, like being thrown into walls and stuff. Like my neck and my back is screwed, my neck is messed up. And I have a problem hanging on to things, like holding on to things, because I've got nerve damage and all kinds of problems. And that's from being slammed to walls and stuff, So damage to my spine and damage to my neck and a whole lot of damage to my head and abusive head trauma. That's exactly what that is, So my case didn't make it to the paper. It didn't make the news. So many children out here who are being abused right now, they're not going to make the news, right? We're only going to see a handful of the cases. The rest will just be lying in their rooms on the floor half dead, lying in their bedrooms, or lying somewhere in the house half dead from a beating that they're taking, or being raped and sodomized or sexually used or whatever, molested, whatever. This is absolutely unacceptable. And this is why I raise my voice. And, there's a lot of people that would probably like me to shut up and go away. And I'm not. I'm not. Why? Because I was one of those little kids, And I'm paying the price for it now. And what I decided to do is, instead of just sitting around being silent about it, I'm going to start writing and talk about it. So I wrote my blog, So Fond Memories Growing Up in an Abusive Home, and I just detailed it, right on out. And I wanted people to know the truth, And people know, but they don't care. A lot of people don't care. There's a lot of people out there that just don't care because it doesn't affect them, or because they live in a violent situation themselves and they like it. There's a lot of people that like violence. My parents love violence. They actually thrived on it. That was their favorite thing to do, was to bash each other, hit each other, hit their kids. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. They thrived on it. They breathed it in, they just soaked it up. And the more damage they could cause, the better off they were, That they were drama queen and kings and queens, They loved that whole, bloody nose and busted head stuff, And that's exactly how they were, with each other and their children. And, that's a sick way to bring up children. You know what I mean? People are doing it. People are doing it right now. There's a whole lot of people out there in this world that like violence. They like to be hit. They like to hit. And, people say, oh, I don't know how anybody could like to be hit. Oh, it's true. There are really sick people out there that actually enjoy this sort of thing. And, yeah, I knew some. That's why. My parents were, and I also had some friends that were like that, too. And, it's absolutely twisted. It's absolutely twisted. And no child should ever have to grow up like in that situation, And so this is my fight, And this is just not just my fight for me, even though a lot of it is for me. I have to say, it's not about just everybody else and not for me. It is totally about me, because I'm suffering because of what my parents did to me. Suffering physically, suffering emotionally, suffering psychologically, suffering in every area of my life because of what my parents did to me. So screw all the other advocates out there who don't like my voice. You walk 5 minutes in my shoes, I guarantee you can't do it. I guarantee. So I have some advocates that are kind of a little cranky with me right now, so I hope they listen to these shows. I really do. And so, it's just like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm out here to be a voice for these kids. I'm also out here to be a voice for myself, Like I myself, my little small baby, my little small child, my little small, toddler self, my teenager self did not deserve to be treated that way. Ever, And so I can therefore relate that and say that no child deserves to be treated that way ever. And why are people doing it? Like, why are people killing their children, beating their children to death, raping their children, doing these horrible things to their children, molesting their children? Why? Calling their children names, running them down, making them feel, worthless and useless. And then later on they go in to kill themselves, Why? Why is there so many sick people on this earth? It just bothers me. It really does. Because I grew up with the sickest people I can think of. Two of the very most evil people on the planet that I can think of were my two parents. And people would say, oh, it couldn't be that bad. Oh, yes, they were. And I'm actually going to write a huge novel about it. And it's all truth, all of it. And, it's really pathetic that people would like to downplay abuse and downplay what it does. Because I'm in pain every time as a matter of fact, I can't even move without my hips hurting me. My hip, both because it messes my whole back up. Because my one hip is messed up, the other one is. You know what I mean? Because it's been for life, right? 6 years old all the way through. So it's messed my whole entire system up. So, I can't even move without remembering what my parents did to me. I can't even sit in a chair for 10 minutes without remembering what my parents did to me. I can't walk down the street because I can't see straight and remembering what my parents did to me. You know what I mean? You try living your life to the age of 46 not being able to see straight because your mother bashed your head in with a rolling pin because you just complained about the soup. No, my mother hated me and she wanted to kill me, and that was the issue. And she didn't want anything coming out of my mouth because she knew that I knew what she was doing to me was wrong, and she knew that what was going on in that home was wrong, and she knew that I was not going to sit, that I was actually. She didn't like me because I used to stand up against abuse, right? And that's what I've always done, and it caught me some serious beatings, right? But I wasn't the type to sit back and just be all, whimpering in the corner. I was like, this is all wrong. This is not cool, and it's not. And so I've always been a bit of a voice anyway, even in the midst of it. But, I used to protect her, right? But obviously that didn't get me any brownie points, you know what I mean? What it did was get me a messed up back and another concussion from my dad, who, because I went to protect my mother from my dad a couple of times and actually got thrown into walls, kicked and beaten on and just trashed by my dad because he was wanting to attack my mother. So then he attacked me because I was protecting my mother. Did my mother help me? No. Did my mother abuse me? Absolutely, yes. So she didn't want protection. She hated me. You know what I mean? So my parents were very sick and twisted. And so, what are you supposed to do with that? So now, I got a problem where if I turn my neck to the left, I drop whatever's in my hands because of that. My chiropractor was like, this is just not much we can do with this. You know what I mean? It's just serious damage to your functioning. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. But most people don't realize that I can't see straight. You know what I mean? And I thought about that, and I thought I never ever did see properly after my mother did that to me. And no child should ever be treated that way. Not ever. No, not ever. It's not cool. It's funny, and this is why I do what I do. Because every day I have to face this stuff, Every day I got to look in the mirror and I got to see the scars on my body. Every day I got to look in the mirror and see the burns from my mother, Every day I got to look at my legs and see the banged up legs that I got from my parents, It's it's not cool. And it's sad because that my very being was degraded. It was rejected. It was abused, And I got to face that every single day when I wake up, And also I got to wake up, and that's the whole issue, I don't know, just waking up every day is hard. It's extremely hard for me to just get up and do the day. You know what I mean? And it's not even so much depression. It's just that I'm tired, I'm freaking tired. I've been so tired my whole entire life, I can't even tell you how tired I am. My sweetheart, he sits there and he just watches me and he's just like, he doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. And he probably never will, And this is the whole issue because he wasn't abused, right? So he doesn't know what it's like to be laying awake all night, in fear that you're going to be killed or that your mother's going to kill you, your dad's going to kill you because they're both threatening to all night and threatening to kill each other. Somebody's going to be killed. One of the brothers is going to be killed. Oh, one of the sisters is going to be killed, or somebody's going to get hurt. It's just always this fear, and not sleeping at night because you're, later on after I hit 8 years old, I had to worry about my brother coming to rape me, sodomize me. So, this is the thing. It was, a whole lifetime of not sleeping, and I just started doing drugs when I was 12 years old. I was like, screw this, You know, I can't deal, I can't cope. I'm going to have to do drugs. I'm going to have to drink. I'm going to have to do drugs. So I started getting high. I started drinking, and I kept that right on up until 21. And a lot, massive amounts of drugs, you know. Not small little tiny little recreational bits of drugs, you know. I mean, I was high as I could be for a period of about 9 years. And so, you know, that had its toll, you know, but thank God, I'm kind of thankful I did that, because it probably did save my life. But I got off those. That's fine, you know. And then I was just so tired. I was just so tired, you know. I was just so emotionally, so psychologically, so spiritually tired, you know, that I used to just not care if I died. I'd just be like, I don't care if I die, man. I'm so freaking tired that I can't even, you know, get into enjoying this life. I've had some great experiences. You know, I've done some traveling. I've been to Hawaii. I've been to Ireland. I've done some cool stuff. I've been around, you know, Western Canada anyways, lots of Eastern Canada actually as well. I've done lots of traveling. I've seen most of the United States. There's only the southeast corner that I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of the United States. I've done a lot of traveling for somebody who has no money and grew up in an abusive home. But I've been really, really, very kind of lucky. I mean, if you want to call it lucky, I call it blessed. But to be able to do these things, you know. And so, you know, there's lots of things that I have been able to do. It's just amazing. And I've met some of the most wonderful people on the planet in my journey, you know, and I don't regret that, not at all. But I'm just saying that these little kids out here that are being abused, you know, they're going to have to grow up with this shit. You know, they get hit hard enough in the head, they're not going to see straight. They're going to be like me. They're going to be walking around all dizzy all the time. And, you know, that's not cool. You know, these little kids getting their bones broken and twisted out of place and getting their whole bodies just slammed around and beaten on, they're going to pay the price for that later. So even if they don't die, they're going to always know, wow, you know, my parents just hated me so much that they would do this to me. My mother used to slam me into walls, like she used to grab me and throw me up against walls, and she didn't care what was in the way, you know, and she didn't care what was there. You know what I mean? So my back would just be crunched into these, whatever it was, you know, like pieces of the wall or pieces of corners of things. And she didn't care that she was hurting my spine. As a matter of fact, my mother used to pound my back. And one time, my mom punched me so hard in the back, right square in the middle of my spine. She literally slammed me in the back. And I fell down. Actually, I was slammed down 2 sets of stairs into my bedroom. And I've got spinal problems because of that, and pain every day. You know, it doesn't go away. People think, well, you should take some painkillers. It's like, no, I'm going to need some heavy-duty painkillers when I get older, man, if I live long enough, you know, so I don't take them. My chiropractor actually said that I'm in pain all the time. He said your pain threshold is very, very high because you're used to being in pain, so your pain threshold is actually whatever that is, where you don't feel it like maybe somebody else might. But he says you're in pain all the time. You're just able to, your body's able to mask it. And I'm like, what a trip. And he says, yeah, with this type of injuries, you know what I mean, you're just going to be in pain all the time. But you're able to cope, and that's cool. And so I guess that is a blessing, you know. But still, it's a drag, you know what I mean? Like, just to have to live with these injuries, you know, like my jaws are out of place, like I've got a screwed up nose, you know what I mean? Like I can't talk properly. I can't even form words properly. I had a dentist look at my jaws and stuff, and this specialist, and the specialist was like, what is the matter with your whole mouth? Like your whole thing, it's all messed up. Like everything is really messed up. And I'm like, yeah, it's no wonder. You know what I mean? Yeah, like this is what abuse will do to somebody. And people see a picture of me, they say, oh, you look just fine. And it's like, well, not if you start taking a look a little bit closer. You know what I mean? If you actually look just a little bit closer and a little bit, take some time to look at the stuff even on my head, you know. Like I've got serious damage to my forehead, serious damage to the top of my head, the back of my head, you know, abusive head trauma. And that wasn't from the car accidents. That was from my mother mainly, and some from my dad. But this is what these little kids will have to live with if they survive. So many times, I'm just lucky I'm not in a wheelchair, see. You know what I mean? And I know this because I see these little shaken baby syndrome babies out here who end up in wheelchairs with feeding tubes and poop bags, you know. And I'm thinking, thank God my parents didn't shake me and I end up like that. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure I know my parents used to shake me, but at least they didn't give that shaken baby syndrome. You know what I mean? They did other things instead, and they let my brother rape me. That's just lovely. But you know, I'm just blessed that I didn't end up in a wheelchair. And and these little kids out here, who's going to fight for them? Like who's going to stand up and frickin' make some noise? Who is? That's what I want to know. I got other advocates trying to shut me down and tell me, "Oh, well, you're doing your shows, blah blah blah." I'm not going to name names, but I don't know. I hope that other people know who these people are. Sitting there running me down for doing what they wanted me to do in the first place, which was to get the word out. And Blog Talk Radio, thank God for them. You know what I mean? For allowing shows like mine to be here. This is serious stuff. This is not funny stuff. This is serious, serious issues. Children are going to die tonight, and we can't do a damn thing about it. And there are stupid people who are going to kill them. They're going to do, a couple of years? Who cares? What's the justice in that? My justice, I didn't get any justice. My mother died of old, just old age, and she was very ill, she was very sick, and she was abused her whole life. But, she died, 68 years old or something. She made it to 68. My brother killed himself when he was 33, so, right. When I was 20, he killed himself, so I went to the gynecologist. They were at the age 21, and they were like, well, if you want to pursue it, you can. I'm like, well, it's a little too late for that. My abuser killed himself last year, so, what am I supposed to do, right? I was like, well, I won't be pursuing charges because my abuser committed suicide, right? So no justice for me. There isn't enough justice in the world that could be done to my abusers for what they did to me. You know what I mean? And that's why I know that God will judge appropriately. But, these little kids out here, there's not going to be any justice for them. They're sick abusers, sick people, parents, whoever, caregivers, people that get a hold of them are going to do a few years, and then they're going to be able to just continue on in their sick and twisted ways. Why are we going to allow that? Why are we even allowing that? Like somebody kills a child, it should be automatic life sentence. No chance for parole, no getting off for good behavior. But I'm talking being found completely 100% guilty. I'm not talking about speculation. I'm talking about people who are found guilty. 100%, no way they could even ever prove that they were not guilty. They were guilty, life sentence. You take a life, you do life. That's what I think. Because these little children out here, they matter to me. And I don't even have kids, but I can't have kids because I was raped as a child, see. So I really want people to get the impact of that. Not only that, but I was a raped child who was raped as a child. How do you like them apples? You know what I mean? It's just sick and frickin' twisted, I tell you that. And I have every right to be angry about this, I have every right to be angry and hurt by it, and it's okay that I'm not okay. You know what I mean? But I'm doing really well, and I cope well, and I can work full time, I can write books, I can do all kinds of stuff. But the issues are what they are, I will never be able to really be free of my past because it is my past. And I can learn to have a good life, and I can learn to heal, inside, internally. I can learn to heal my spirit, my heart, and I can still laugh with the best of them. I love to laugh and have fun. But the thing is when it comes to child abuse, I am freaking serious. I'm not going to sit on here on this show, Child Abuse Prevention is Up to Us, and talk about what color I'm painting my toenails tonight. You know what I mean? I don't even paint my toenails, but that's just beside the issue. I'm just saying, there's a lot of people out here who are talking about child abuse, but they're not talking about child abuse. They're talking about something they ate for dinner the other night or some shit like that. Kids are dying, man. This is freaking serious stuff. This is not a fun show, And these shows shouldn't be fun. Because this is not funny. That these kids are going to die and there won't be anything that we can do about it because they're ignorant, sick and twisted, evil caregivers are going to kill them. Or they're going to be abused and they're going to be beaten, burned, tortured, raped, and sodomized, molested, mistreated, thrown out of the house, right? Verbally abused, emotionally abused, psychologically abused. This is absolutely unacceptable. And as long as we're willing to sugarcoat this stuff, minimize it, and make it just seem like it's all okay, then it's not going to change. We need to change the laws. We need to change everything about this. This is absolutely unacceptable. And so, it's very unpopular to speak out against child abuse. It always has been. It always will be. But, that's what I'm saying. I don't care. I'm used to being on my own anyway. But I do have a lot of good friends, and they all know who they are. But, I'm not out here for a popularity contest, man. I'm hoping to speak worldwide about the issues regarding child abuse and child abuse prevention. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm actually I'll be doing some shows on the weekend, and next week I'm changing my show lineup just a bit because I'm gonna be on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for One Child Abuse Survivor in the morning, One Child Abuse Survivor to another, and then Wednesday night for Child Abuse Prevention. But I'm gonna go for an hour instead of a half an hour program, and really just continue on to talk about this stuff. I don't really want to stop the shows, but I just wanted to sort of not do as many shows during the week and just make them a little bit longer. But thanks everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I've got almost 40,000 shows listened to, and I tell you, I don't know who you all are, but I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to what I have to say about child abuse. And I hope that my fight stirs something within you, to keep to light a fire, within you to stop child abuse too, right? We all need to get involved, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Just get involved. We need to save these kids, and we need to do this fast, and it has to happen like this generation. How many children are we going to let die? This is not acceptable at all, right? So thanks for being here. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.